begins. Get excited about it. It's another step towards the end of Florida State basketball season. That's a great thing. Get past that. Move on. Don't have to think about it anymore. No more watching that nonsense. But to the Super Bowl, which is obviously where you have to lead, I, too, loved that game. In that, let's just start with the obvious. What did Jeff bet? Well, on Friday, I told you what I bet. I took Pacheco over 47.5 yards rushing, cruised to that total very easily, and then I had Patrick Mahomes under 295.5 yards passing, cruised to that very easily. Big winners for your boy over here over the weekend. Very, very pleased. 5 wins, 1 loss in my bets on the weekend, including the one we all had, which was the under on the anthem, because you listened to Lee Sterling of Paramount Sports on Friday. And so we were all cashing tickets, baby, over this weekend. A lot of fun. Plus, the game kicked ass. What an awesome game. I can't complain at all. Phoenix was awesome. The WM, how good was that? You had a star-studded leaderboard. You had some blasts from the past who got themselves in it with Day, and even Ricky Fowler played. It was fun. You won't get a better weekend rolling into a Monday. Condolences to our very own director, Matthew. I'm not saying this to be a sarcastic ass, which I can be at times, but never having seen my team lose the Super Bowl, it is, I imagine, very difficult, especially one as close as that. Ours were both blowout victories, as you'll recall, Tom, champion. Those games weren't close.
2-time champion. Hello.
Yeah, including one in which we routed the Chiefs. But this was not that. This was riveting for those that didn't have an interest in it in that fandom sort of way. So I feel for Director Matthew because I love him. He's my guy. Just that's a tough one to swallow. That's hard to take. 0 adjustments in the second half from Philadelphia's defense. They give up points on every single possession. Mahomes throws 1 incomplete pass in the second half. 1, it was on an intentional throwaway. 5 red zone appearances for the Chiefs in the game. 4 touchdowns, 1 field goal. Andy Reid's the better coach. Their offense is sensational, and when they actually had the ball, the Eagles never stopped them.
And yet, if Watkins catches the ball at 24-21, the Eagles are your Super Bowl champion because at halftime, there are 38 points on the board.
It's crazy.
And Hurts is responsible for 31 of them.
Yeah. Hurts was, it's hard for Hurts, who deservedly was the runner-up for Super Bowl MVP in this game. I hate it for him, but you know what that fumble does, the scoop score touchdown that, obviously, if you look at the margin, you're going to have to look at that play over and over again that Nick Bolton picks up and runs in. By the way, Nick Bolton was awesome very quietly in this game. 9 tackles on the day, along with the scoop score. Would have had a second one if the old rules about a catch were a catch, but instead you have to tap dance 6 times for it to be a catch anymore. So that's the right call under the modern rules. Under real football, that should have been a scoop and score as well. He would have had 2. But that said, you can't point to too many defensive players that ruled the day. The Eagles had 0 sacks against Mahomes, who had a gimpy ankle. The Eagles, who led the NFL in sacks on the season, were closing in on the all-time record in sacks. Their front 4 was completely neutralized in this football game across the board. Chiefs ran the ball better than the Eagles did, and they also didn't give up any sacks. So there are a lot of reasons the Chiefs won. A lot of people will focus on the last call, and I get it. I understand. It's a sucky call in the situation. You hate it. I do love that the kid deserves all the credit in the world. He took ownership of the penalty. And by definition, it is a penalty. They often don't always call that penalty. But those were all part of those drive routes. This is where Andy Reid is just genius on these things. I mean, by the way, Tom, as I watch this game and as I watch the Chiefs through much of the year, I'm telling you, I would motion into a stack on every play if I were an offensive coach. It's almost impossible. It's really difficult for defensive players to get it right every time. Because when you motion to stack, now I've got to, on the fly, we've got to decipher, as the ball's being snapped, who plays off of whom and who has whom. The first Kelsey touchdown is a motion to stack. He's wide open. We ask the question all the time, how the hell is Kelsey always open? Well, he caught a 20-yard pass on the second play of the game. Why the hell open? Because they motion him to stack all the time, and he's faster than any linebacker that's going to cover him. He's too big for a safety. They can't do anything with him ever, but that's all out of motion. That's all off of motion. The 2 wide-open touchdowns in the second half for them, which was going to be another one there if he doesn't hold. is they run that drive route where you come down, and then now you've got to follow me because I'm off the ball. So now you have to declare, which is why I'm doing it, because I want you to tell me if you're in zone or man. And when I come down, now I have to run full speed because you're fast. So we're running, but I know where I'm going if I'm the receiver, and my foot's going in the ground. I'm going right back out. And unless you've already predetermined to understand that you're in man, you're with him, and you can actually reverse course and get back over there, it's going to be a touchdown either way. It's a problem now, but they got confused on two of the other touchdowns, completely confused. One of them is on Bradbury the second time. He gets, and the other's on Slay, who's very, very experienced. He gets embarrassed too.
Yeah, the story goes, Chad Henne was talking about this on the record, that they saw this clip of a Jacksonville Jaguars game and the Peterson offense against the Eagles, and they saw that the motion leads to an overcommittal. They're trying to beat you to the punch. The Eagles are trying to oversell to where you're going to anticipate.
Right.
And if you just loop back underneath, they won't have anybody there. And they ran it twice, and they're wide open both times. I can remember actually in the Bucs Super Bowl run, there was a similar situation with the Packers running a play where, if you recall, I believe it was Packers-Rams, and Jalen Ramsey loses his mind because they didn't switch it properly. And the Bucs went to school on it, were prepared for it. They passed it off, and they made a big play, preventing a touchdown for Aaron Rodgers and the Packers. Well, if it happens once, okay, good job, tip of the cap. We saw it on film.
Yeah, it's hard.
A second time, and nobody's going to be within 15 yards of a radius?
And
that can't happen twice.
They did it to two different corners.
Yeah.
So they do
but it's the coverage concept. You can't run it anymore. You can't run that coverage down. You've got to know.
And it's crazy, too. The last one's actually a whip route, but it's the same. It's similar.
All it is about shifting of the corners and the defensive backs and their roles, and they ran the exact same coverage twice. Now, I'm sure they have other options, assuming that, well, that's not going to be wide open twice. They're gonna sell back to it. No. Yes, it will. It will be wide open two times.
What I like, though, is that Andy Reid, and he's really, really good, man. He's just really, really good. So he fools the first time it's Slay, he fools him, and then he's like, okay, well, I wonder if the other corner will fall for it. We'll just go other side and see if they've got it figured out over there now. That's just, sometimes you don't have to outthink the room. It's like, okay, well, he fell for it. They may have adjusted. We'll see. Run it over here. Let's see if the other corner's adjusted for it. And it's a nickel corner at that, so they get him. And, there's confusion.
Well, and it should be because it's Sky Moore. You're not going to put your number one on a Sky Moore, but that's on the coordinator. That's the concept. They're like, oh, well, this isn't going to work inside the 10-yard line. This is a got-to-have-it play. Let's not get burned by the same thing twice. And,
Yeah, they do. And then, you're running a not quite the same thing, but a similar concept on the hold. So it's and the reason you're going to get that hold is because they're tired of getting beat on that.
It's a hold too. It is. And it's prior to the pass. Like everything about the way they call that is correct. He can't get released. It's before where Olsen and Burkhart were talking about it too. He's like, he's got his hand on his back. No, it's way before the break.
Yes, it's when he's turning to go back left. Yeah. It's the whip, and he's trying to go back left, and he gets held up. I get why you don't want to see that call because and this is the hard part. The reason you don't want to see that call is frequently they don't. So if they were consistent, then you wouldn't ever be upset about it. But to varying degrees, they call that. Now, when it's a point of emphasis, they call that.
But inside of 5 yards, and then also Tyreek Hill wasn't running underneath that ball. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's gone. That ball is...
Well, right, but at that point, he's already seen, he knows, and he's throwing that away. He should
throw
that away.
Can't know that. I'm just,
Yeah. But again, Chiefs, no turnovers, no sacks. They had a grand total of 3 penalties in the game. They also had the longest punt return in Super Bowl history. So a lot of things that you go back. You don't give up a sack. You run the ball better than the Eagles. You don't commit a lot of penalties. You have a huge special teams play. You don't get stopped on a single possession in the second half. I mean, this all adds up. It's a tough
But
loss.
you had to do all of that to win the football game. That's the other part of
it. That's how good the Eagles were. It's how good Jalen Hurts was. They played keep away in the first half. The Chiefs don't have the ball, but for a little over 8 minutes, well, you can't keep up if you don't have the ball. But that's why I actually feel bad for Jalen Hurts, because if he doesn't fumble the ball switching hands, which leads to the scoop and score touchdown, the Eagles win the Super Bowl. It was about to be 21-7. They're up 14-7 with the ball. They're going down. They're going to make it 21-7. The Chiefs are reeling right now on defense. They haven't made the adjustments yet. And then that happens, and it's a scoop score, and it's 14-all. You're talking about a 14-point swing.
And if you rank the top 10 throws in this game by either quarterback,
14.
I mean, how many are Hurts? 8?
Yeah, they're really
9?
good. I will say this. Mahomes makes more plays by being tough in the pocket than he gets credit for. Hanging in there with the eyes down the field over and over again. Guys getting ready to hit his face, and he throws a laser side. It's the ability to throw the ball sidearm in the pocket. That we were used to seeing him get outside the pocket and do all these weird arm angles and things like that and kind of improvise. But he makes a lot of throws where he steps up in the pocket, knowing the pressure is coming here, but he goes outside here. The big third down play on the last drive, it's the same thing, right in his face. He's got pressure in his face. You know, sometimes we just have to say it. I mean, that is the hard part when you're going against one of the great players of all time. He's now a two-time MVP, two-time Super Bowl MVP, two-time Super Bowl winner, been to the Super Bowl 3 times, only been in the league, 5 years? He's a great player. He's just a great player who makes a ton of plays that even when they're schemed up, Philadelphia's defense was awesome all year long. And Mahomes made every play that he had to make, as you correctly point out, had to make on every single series they had the ball in the second half. And they started right when they got the ball in the second half, right down the field. And it's kind of game on. You got to get some stops.
Yeah, and it's just, it's tough because I can feel it in the room here with the director. But from a fan's perspective last night, when that call happens, you've got 58 and a half minutes of outstanding entertainment. I mean, 58 and a half minutes of awesome football.
Yeah, it takes the air out of the balloon.
And you're like, what a dud of a finish. You know, because you know exactly what's going on. The Sirianni timeout situation down to 2.
Smart, though. You have a player who has a chance to score a touchdown in the Super Bowl, takes the knee on the 1, understands the situation.
Oh, yeah.
They're all coached up well.
You know, now you're just hoping for a miracle and a Butker miss or another stoink or whatever it's going to be. But you feel that for, 4 or 5 minutes of real time. And it's just, you didn't think it was going to be over. You felt like maybe it's overtime, or at the very least, it's a 3-point deficit. Hurts has the ball last. Here's a chance.
Let's see what happens with a $138 or something like that.
And it's gone. That's why you always got to enjoy it play for play in the moment, because the ending was a dud, but the back and forth of it was
a great game.
Unreal.
It was a great game.
Real
Two
fun.
Really good teams. Felt like the 2 best teams in football were playing. And, you got what you got. You had a nice response from Kansas City after the half. You could sense their frustration. The Eagles did everything right in the first half, just holding on to the ball. We both said that they would utilize Hurts' legs. That number was 51.5, and over was the overwhelming percentage bet from the public. I think everybody understood that with no game the next week, Jalen Hurts was going to be hugely effective running the ball. He squats 600 pounds. He's a monster. You can't do anything with him with arm tackles. So, they scheme up the runs well. It's just ironic to me with his 3 touchdowns, and that's a quarterback record in the Super Bowl, that it's on a designed run that he fumbles the ball, just switching hands. He's trying to put the ball to the sidelines angle, and it's what you're supposed to do, and he just drops it. And until he wins a Super Bowl, he'll replay that drop in his mind over and over and over again.
But what about the guts to go for it on 4th and 5? It's a 3rd and 7, I think. It's a short gain. So you're going for it on 4th, which in a tough spot on the field, and you call quarterback draw on a 4th and 5. I gasped as I saw what the O-line was doing.
You do that. It doesn't remind you a little bit. I know they're different players, but it reminds you like the things that Carolina did that special year with Cam Newton.
Absolutely.
Where they would just be like, he's too big for you. There's not a lot you're going to do with this. Even if you hit him, we think he's going to get there. The 2-point conversion, he mans his way into that.
He did.
Yeah.
But it's 5 yards. I mean, I never in a million years, maybe they roll him out and then he's got an option to run. Not a quarterback draw on 4th and 5. Sir, you're nuts. Next thing you know, he's inside the red zone, still running it. Unbelievable call.
The sequence here that gets overlooked is what happens before the fumble. And this is where, when 2 great teams play, you realize that you need a little luck. Like if the Eagles had won this game and it was them kicking the last second field goal, I'd say the exact same thing as with the Chiefs kicking the last second field goal. You had to get a little lucky. And here's what I mean by that. You have to make all these plays that we're documenting now, and you got to be really well coached. You got to have a bunch of good players, and both teams have all of that. Both teams are really well coached. But the key sequence is the Gainwell slip on 2nd down on the reception, where he comes up short because he slips, and that's going to get me to the next subject. It's 3rd and 1. Now, they're going to do the mush thing that they do because you can't stop it. It is unstoppable. I would suspect the league is going to look into maybe changing this rule back to what it used to be, which is you can't have 3 guys pushing somebody's ass cheeks forward from behind the offensive line. It resembles rugby. But anyhow, the Eagles do it better than everybody else, partly because he squats 600 pounds, and secondarily, their offensive line is taught to basically do the worm. It's insane. You cannot get lower than them, and they are going to get 3 yards every time. All right, well, so because Gainwell slipped on the reception, he comes up short. So now it's 3rd and 1, and you get a false start. So this is crazy, that false start, which was a false start. Once again, we talk about a game with not a ton of penalties. It's the same team committing the penalty.
Well,
so it's 3rd and 6, which leads to the QB run, which is the fumble, which is the scoop and score, which is the difference in the game.
No, that false start's incredibly big. And also what the offside was on Derek Nottie. And Nottie's off the hook today.
Oh, he
Thanks
is.
to everything that happened in the second half, but the 4th and 2.
Yeah,
and they get him to jump. I was like, oh, Derek.
I felt bad for him, too, because it was a good, smart, hard count. They had him.
It was, but it's Derek Nottie. And so, you know, I don't know who I was rooting for in the throes of the game. I just wanted a good one.
I just wanted to see a great game. I didn't care about either team winning.
I'm very happy for Derek Nottie today because that's a humongous moment because Hurts scores a touchdown on the very next play because, of course, he did.
Well, 5 trips to the red zone with 4 touchdowns. We always talk about the difference in these games. I mean, I'm talking about for Kansas City. The Eagles could hold them to 1 field goal, and you have to – that can't happen, right? I mean, red zone stops in the modern football game in college and pro really are everything. It's about can you hold to 3 instead of touchdowns. And because offenses are geared to score, especially when you've got great quarterbacks. And these two teams have great quarterbacks, or at least this is a coming out party for Jalen Hurts. He truly had a great year. Maybe he's now morphed into that. I'd say if you're going to perform that well on the biggest stage in the world, then maybe that's who you are now. So good for him. He's graduated to this other level, and the Eagles have to figure out what chunk of money they're going to put aside to pay him along with all these free agents they have this offseason. Meanwhile, you know, you have the further solidification of what Patrick Mahomes is all time, which is now a guy who will solely be judged by how many championships, because he's already in the all-time pantheon of great quarterbacks. That's already decided. It doesn't matter if he never has another good year. He's in. I mean, look at what he's done in such a short period of time and what he's already won, which includes 2 Super Bowl MVPs, 2 regular season NFL MVPs, and been to 3 Super Bowls total. So he's it's pretty solidified at this point. Once you get to that level, now that everybody's going to just compare you to the all-time greats. Do you get to 4 Super Bowl championships? Do you get to Brady's 7, which may not be catchable? Who knows? But that's what you get judged by from here on out.
The other thing is, I'm sure they're talking about it on Kansas City radio today, but the move to go get Kadarius Toney,
it's huge.
That changes that game.
Oh, yeah.
That punt return changes the game.
It's a huge punt return, and really the bigger discussion Kansas City should be having, and that they handled this really well. If you give Cheetah all the money, then none of the money's there for Toney and these other guys, Sky Moore, all these guys that they brought in that made their offense really balanced. It's very difficult to deal with them. I mean, I guess the one guy I haven't continued to talk about that I need to, because I love watching him play, and he's the one who's won the battle. It's Pacheco. He's there. He is a beast. He runs like a grown-ass man, an angry grown-ass man every time he has the ball. And, you know, I don't know that when they picked him up, they thought they were getting that, but he's a freak. I mean, he runs that hard. You look at the draft, I don't think a lot of people thought he was that coming out. So they're really well run. And by saving some money, they're able to obviously go in and get guys who maybe singularly aren't that player, but you spread out the number of weapons that you have, and they're all plus players. So they become really impossible, especially with the way that quarterback extends plays so often. So it's just time and again. But I did laugh. I thought of all of us here on the Jeff Cameron Show since we had the discussion last week that, again, Kelsey has a big game and he scores the first. I mean, because of course he does. But that is a lot of that is scheme. It is amazing the way they move him around. It reminds me when John Gruden was good, when John used to find the one-on-one matchups that you just couldn't cover because he had a guy at the position that was faster than your guy or bigger. Kelsey's both is the problem. He's both. He's bigger than your guy, and he's also faster than your guy. It's Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
This is Patty Wilson.
Oh, I'm sorry. We're ready?
He's recording.
Why are you always saying your last name? It's Patty and Scott. Everybody knows
know that.
Patty and Scott.
I don't know. This is Patty Wilson. Not this is. I am Patty Wilson.
What is the idea behind said promo?
It's for Patty's Playhouse. We're on Patty's Playhouse Saturdays at 11. Tune in. That's stupid. Just tune in. Saturdays at 11. Patty Wilson, Patty's Playhouse. House talk with a happy ending.
Each and every time.
Motorcycle accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Big Brothers Big Sisters of Big Bend, along with Love Tito's Foundation, is excited to launch the Big Draft. Get in the game today. Become a Sports Buddies mentor. Visit bigbendmentoring.org/sports buddies to find out more.
This is Dr. James Ryan Finn.
And Dr. Shannon Lord.
We are the dynamic duo at Finn Chiropractic, where we seek to get to the cause of your problem.
Whether you have neck pain, back pain, headaches, or any joint stiffness,
we've developed the Phenomenal Health Exam with some high-tech ways to get to the cause.
Our Phenomenal Health Exam will give the answers you need.
Get in for the Phenomenal Health Evaluation.
Visit our website at finnchiro.com, FENNCHIRO.com.
Because your chiropractor loves you.
There's nothing you can do about it.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Every day, Sellers makes life a little better for homeowners, helping them find the best design ideas for their homes with the best quality tile, carpet, and hardwood flooring. Even mosaics, ceramic, and vinyl solutions are at their fingertips in their remarkable showroom. Maybe it's time for you to get the Sellers Advantage for your home or office. Find them on Capitol Circle Northeast, just north of Mahan Drive, or online at sellerstile.com. For style, quality, and design, get the Sellers Advantage. In Tallahassee, call 656-8453.
We expect our information in real time. US Med carries continuous glucose monitors, which provide real-time readings of blood glucose levels. US Med is an approved provider for Medicare and over 500 private insurers. So call 800-730-8405 today for a free insurance and Medicare benefits check. As easy as, that's 800-730-8405.
My brother-in-law died suddenly, and now my sister and her kids have to sell their home. That's why I told my husband we could not put off getting life insurance any longer. An agent offered us a 10-year, $500,000 policy for nearly $50 a month. SelectQuote found us identical coverage for only $19 a month.
SelectQuote could save you more than 50% on term life insurance. For your free quote, go to SelectQuote.com. That's SelectQuote.com. Full details on example policies at SelectQuote.com/commercials.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Only two that make it to the Super Bowl, of course. The rest of us watch on and wonder what we have to get our team back there. Remember this, it's usually not much. It's usually not that much. It's finding a quarterback. You can start there over and over and over again. It's, do you have one? You have one that can play at an elite level and make plays postseason. Number of teams that do, you can argue the degrees to which they do. But Buffalo certainly does. Kansas City certainly does. Cincinnati certainly does. Kansas City, did I say Kansas City? I got to say them repeatedly. Philadelphia now on that list.
You have to say them twice.
Yeah,
I think that's the rule.
A few times. Yeah, they're pretty ridiculous. But that's what you do. You go through and, when your team may have any number of weaknesses and areas of foible that you worry about, but if you don't have a quarterback, none of those other things are really going to come into play. Find that guy. Like, it's remarkable. Even the Chiefs, when their offensive line wasn't very good, got to the Super Bowl because of that guy. This year, they solidified the offensive line, was worlds better. It's not the best offensive line in the league, but it's good. And, you see what happens. And you can go ahead and close the deal.
But you're correct when you bring it back to just our own team for 30 seconds.
Oh, the Bucs don't have a quarterback.
It's a different league now. We're playing in a different existence. We've been relegated once again. But in that NFC South, which is in the footprint of where we are, you scratch together 9 wins, and you're probably carrying the division.
Yeah. Oh, you just won the division having scrapped together 8 wins.
If you can win the division, you celebrate then and there. Because that's it. There's nothing more coming.
Oh, not in the near future. No, there's not anything happening for Tampa.
Jalen Hurts looks sustainable.
He
that
does.
Looks sustainable.
I think that's really what this year kind of proved to me more than anything else, was that guy had come from the shadows of mediocrity, downright poor play, to being elite. And I think that is a testament to him and coaches, and then confidence that grows with each success. And as this year went on, he became more than just a guy that was helping guide a loaded team. We talk about the defense had 70 regular season sacks. The Eagles had 70 regular season sacks. They were a team that, again, we just got done discussing with that front four, legit had Pro Bowl caliber players across the front. And those guys, again, I think if you're going to argue about which unit lost the game, it's the Eagles defense. They didn't show up.
That's correct to a degree. Like, that's the larger piece of the pie. But a small but significant piece of the pie is very much like what happened to the Bills' defensive line against the Bengals on a snowy track.
Oh, so
that essentially
slippery,
was a snowy track last night, which it should never have been. That field was a disgrace.
It is. And I wanted to talk about that, and I'm glad that you set me up, because that was the problem within 5 minutes of the start of this game. That was the consistent distractor from what you were watching, which was brilliance. You had good coaching and great players and moments in time that were going to be etched indelibly, and every few minutes you were reminded, this stupid field. And I don't understand how that's allowed to happen. You have what's known as the sod doctor, the big stories they've done on this guy for 40 years. He's done a great job. He has, obviously. But what's up with that field in particular? Why?
And that's always one of the better fields in the NFL before they put the Super Bowl sod on it, because, you know, it's the big to-do. They roll it outside and they roll it back in. It just makes no damn sense. And for a defensive line, you're dead. You're dead. You can't make any quick movement. You even saw it on some of the pursuit of the wrong angles or losing contain from Kansas City's defensive front, and then Jalen Hurts would do the little back turn. You've got no chance to cut in a short area. That's also why both quarterbacks, even though you could argue how healthy were either of them, Mahomes obviously was more hurt, but they look like they're kind of just standing around with heavy feet, because if they try and cut, they're going flying.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. You don't want that to be a storyline. You certainly don't want it to take away from these great moments in the game. And to some degree it did, because you had a field that was an unmitigated disaster, and it was evident early. And then you had high profile people who are paid handsomely by the league, who were not afraid to come out and say throughout the course of their analysis, whether it was Terry Bradshaw at halftime, whoever you want to talk about, there were several people online and others who are in bed with the league saying this is not good. So I think obviously what you have is a group of people who expect better for those players who've worked that hard, and the officials and the fans who love the product.
And that doesn't absolve the defensive line.
No.
But it's just, it's a big reason why I think both defensive lines had some trouble in terms of pursuit and generating any kind of consistency. I will say, though, with those factors in play, I forget which of the safeties it is for Philadelphia, but a couple of those open field tackles he made on misdirection plays.
Comes flying, and the Pacheco one by the sideline is.
There were two of them that are absolute touchdowns. Yeah. I mean, I get that's what a safety is, but the degree of difficulty to decipher what's going on behind the offensive line, realize it's misdirection, trigger from the wrong hash mark to go make a play in space against the guy who can fly
with violence
at 4.4, 4.3 speed and prevent a touchdown. That degree of difficulty on that field last night.
Yeah.
That's unbelievable.
Interesting point. There is a shift that you can do both things here, right? We say two things can be true at the same time. Okay, so the field's a disaster? Agreed. The field's a disaster. It's a shame. Both sides are playing on the same field, luckily, so they're both equally affected. But players did not do a good job, and trainers did not do a good enough job early in the game to adjust to different size cleats. And you saw that, and this was a good talking point after the game. I don't remember who it was, and I wish I can give him credit, but it's a former player, a defensive player. And he said, look, the onus, our trainers, our staff used to say the onus was on us because they bring them all. They bring the longest cleat imaginable, the shortest imaginable, all of it, right? You can imagine also that players who are paid handsomely to be able to utilize their speed, change of direction, strength, explosiveness, you can't have a factor like cleat size and slippage take away the very reason you're in the league, because you have that ability to do those things quicker, faster, stronger, more explosive than anybody else. You have got to recognize either pre-game, when you're out on the field doing your warm-ups, this is a problem, guys. We did not expect this, but I have no footing and go to long cleats, whatever it might be. And this player was talking in great detail that coaches will tell them, because this happens week to week in the league. You get different conditions, obviously, with the weather and everything else. Some fields are notoriously bad compared to others. Has to do with region of the country oftentimes. But they'll say to their players, don't come to me at halftime complaining about slippage. Your ass needs to tell me long before then. I need to know in the second drive, if you've slipped 3 times, that's 3 times too many. I mean, I get 1, so that's 2 times too many, but you can't continue to come over to me and complain about this. That's on you now. You got to make adjustments. I did think that at times when they got outside of the painted area, they slipped less. Now, that painted area is something else they got to think about, because it seems notable that a lot of those slips happened on the areas that were, in fact, spray painted. I don't know. I don't know grass conditions and what affects them, but
here's your NFL conspiracy theory of the day. There's been a movement by the players to ban turf. They don't want turf anymore. They want grass. So this was somebody petty in the NFL's department saying, here you go. Here's all the sod
this is what you get with sod.
This is what you get.
Now, that field is rarely ever an issue in the Super Bowl. It's amazing. We always notice it when they go abroad, that when they play on the pitch, they have a real hard time staying on their feet on soccer fields, but you don't really see it in the league. And because we both know the backstory of the millions of dollars, $800,000 for this field, used to be more than that. They've mastered it now. The NFL comes in, and one of the benefactors of hosting a Super Bowl is that you get them, the league pays for the sod transfer, and then you keep the field. So when I went down to the Super Bowl in Miami, was down there 3 days in advance, and I had the opportunity to do the walk stuff with my buddy behind the scenes working for the Marlins. And he was saying that, the NFL comes in and negotiates, hey, this is what we're going to do. And you've been granted a Super Bowl. We're going to make sure this field's up to our standards. So lucky you, we need to get there.
Get out of the way.
Get the hell out of the way. Yeah. We're going to put this field in. They also sometimes change the concourses and do all of that to have more room. I mean, they revamp your stadium. It's an upgrade. It's always a facelift, right? That's why you rarely see problems, is that these are the best in the business. That's why I thought it was kind of stunning that there was so much slippage, because it's normally the opposite. It's like you see this in the regular season on some fields. You really don't see it in the Super Bowl. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Your local news now.
McCulloch County Sheriff's Office is investigating after human remains were found in the woods Thursday afternoon. WCSO received a call around 1:15 p.m. from a citizen stating they found what appeared to be human remains in the woods at the St. Mark's National Wildlife Refuge, also known as the Cathedral of the Palms. Detectives were able to confirm that the remains were human and began a death investigation. Detectives are working to confirm the identity of the deceased individual and make notifications to next of kin. Further details will not be released unless necessary for the investigation until the case has been closed. A Florida Highway Patrol trooper was sent to the hospital with serious injuries following a crash in McCulloch County Saturday morning. The 29-year-old South Choppy native was driving along US 319 near Whitlock Way when she began to execute a U-turn. A 19-year-old was driving an SUV behind the trooper and collided with a patrol car. The trooper suffered serious injuries and the SUV driver suffered minor injuries. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local news update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunny skies and calm this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 68. Westerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 41. Daytime highs approaching 71 tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies. Dry with temps above average Wednesday and Thursday, and highs in the mid-70s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 65.
Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Crawfordville Auto and Tire. Oh, hey there. I was just singing the praises of Crawfordville Auto and Tire. They do just about everything. Complete engine rebuilds, brakes, shocks, tires, oil change, you name it, they do it. And they offer a 12-month, 12,000-mile warranty on all parts and labor. Most of the time, they can service your car the same day and offer towing to help you get to the shop. Now that's something to sing about. Open weekdays from 7:30 in the morning until 6 at night. Crawfordville Auto Repair and Tires.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space.
Well,
you got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, I don't know, longevity time, a mouse.
Just a slow burn.
Slow little burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is. Gordo's bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Matt.
Yes, Greg?
You know all the different ways that you can listen to Real Talk 93.3? There are several. So we've got realtalk93.com. You can go back and listen to all of our shows in the podcast section.
That's right. You can also listen on our app as well.
Search Real Talk 93.3 and look for the red microphone and download our app. Never go anywhere without us.
And of course, you can always listen right on the radio.
Well, they are listening.
Are they?
If they're hearing this commercial, then they're listening.
That's true. I hadn't thought about that.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m., only on Real Talk 93.3. The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Devonta Smith is going to get snapped in half. It's hard to watch him get tackled. Every time he gets tackled, he gets throttled like he's a child. It's unreal. And I give him all the credit in the world because he had, over 1,100 yards receiving this year. I mean, obviously he's productive. He's unbelievably elusive, fast, all those things. He's tough. But, man, when they hit him or tackle him, he is shook like a rag doll every time. It's violent. You're like, oh, that's abuse. That is child abuse. Stop doing that.
It's the kind of thing you would see happen to Warwick Dunn if anybody could ever catch him. Nobody ever could.
Well, they never sized him up. Yeah, they never squared him up.
But he is that tiny where you do feel alarmed.
It's almost offensive. I'm like, stop throwing him around like that. Good God, pick on somebody else.
If you're going to be that small, be like Boston Scott, where you're as wide as you are tall.
It's just weird to see. He's 6 feet, 170. They list him at 170. I don't know, man. I think my man's out here at 158 in the league, which is remarkable.
It's just such a likable offense. And, 20 years ago, if I could hear myself now, shut up about the Eagles. You never say a kind word about Philadelphia.
I
But
think these two teams are really likable, even though I don't root for either one of them.
Yep.
If we're just talking about their coaches, their daringness, their offensive schemes, their toughness, they have a lot of elements that you just like. I mean, a lot of players that play hard, play smart, play really well within the scheme. They get it. I don't know. I think that's one of the benefits of age too. It's like, look, I'm not an Eagles fan. I'm not a Chiefs fan. I'm a huge Bucs fan. There aren't too many other teams I like. As I've gotten older, I've gotten more nostalgic. So I root for my dad's Dolphins to be better. I wish they didn't suck just for his sake. I tend to root for my friends' teams if they're in a position to have success in a way that I never would have in my 20s. But now I'm kind of like, oh, well, I mean, if my team can't win it this year, I hope theirs, as long as they're in a position and they don't have a player that I absolutely loathe. I mean, okay.
It's just in this day and age, it's hard enough to be a defensive coordinator. Good luck going against either of these offensive minds. Sets of offensive minds.
Yeah.
Because you can't assume a thing. If you assume that one thing is going to happen, they're going to make you look silly. You're caught in between, and for good reason. Sirianni is nuts. He's nuts.
Well, they play.
I can't assume a thing.
Yeah, well, they play like they're always going to go for it. So you get in that situation where second down call, their third down calls, setting everything up. So it's like, yeah, being ahead of the chains isn't what it used to mean. Or getting them behind the change isn't change. Because 2nd and 10, if you're playing for all 4 downs, is really 1st and 10.
Well, he's 3rd and 7. If they get tackled for a minimal gain, I'm thinking, well, they got to punt now. No, they don't.
No.
It's like fighting somebody who doesn't care if they die.
Remember,
it's just ridiculous.
Remember this. Remember Harbaugh with Lamar Jackson 2 years ago, where he stayed healthy, and they kept saying like that offense they played for all 4 downs because they had the added benefit of a running quarterback who runs better than anybody else in the league at the position. So it's kind of like, if it's 3rd and 7, I don't need 7. I need 4. If I get 4, 4th and 3, I'm going for it every time. You're not stopping that.
You made the alert point. It's like playing the Panthers with Cam Newton in his prime.
They used to piss me off because he's so big.
Yeah.
If they get it to 4th and 3 or less, you can't stop him. He's
Correct.
that big. He's going to fall forward for 3 yards.
So that means that the pressure's on 1st and 2nd down and not let it get to 3rd and 4. Because if it gets to 3rd and 4, there's a fresh set of downs. It's just a matter of, is it going to take 10 seconds or a minute and 10 seconds for it to happen?
Correct. Yeah. No, it is something to behold. It's neat to watch it when you get to that point. Like somewhere along the way, he realized, well, I got a really good offensive line. The Eagles' offensive line is very, very good. So somewhere along the way, I realized I've got this offensive line, and I've got a guy that, like we say all the time, the difference between Jalen Hurts and Jordan Travis, when people say, well, what about Jalen Hurts? Jordan Travis could be Jalen Hurts. Let's go easy here. Jalen Hurts, again, has legs the size of name your starting running back in the league. He squats 600-plus pounds. His deadlift numbers are massive. He's huge. Devin Travis is tiny. He's not a big man.
Unless we've uncovered scores of cases of stuff from East Germany in the 80s, and that's what's being used over there now. Okay. They're not the same player.
They're not the same player.
Now, their stories are very, very similar and cool.
Especially as throwers. Yes, as passers. It is similar and cool, but I would suggest right now that Jordan Travis be doing whatever it was that Jalen Hurts was doing at both Oklahoma and Alabama, because if you're going to make it, he can throw it now in a way that we didn't think he could, but that guy's legs set up everything.
Thigh replacement surgery.
He's massive, man. You just see it so I do wonder, I mentioned it a moment ago because I find it intriguing. It's become a thing now. That whole mosh sort of element of what they do with a quarterback where it's legal to push them forward.
It's kind of like a mosh pit.
It is. It's awesome. They're taking advantage of the rules being in their favor. You can just line up. That formation's unique to Philly for much of this year, by the way. A lot of people do the sneak, but they don't look like Philadelphia does with that flank, and then the 2 guys come from behind.
The old pro-style set.
It's crazy. And then you watch it, you're like, you're not going to stop that for less than 2 or 3 yards. Even if you stop the initial surge, which often they do, there's just too much weight behind it, and he's strong. They're going to fall forward.
Yeah, one of the impressive plays of the game was the toss pitch, because they ran the toss pitch out of it, and it was stopped.
Yeah, don't do that again, right?
Wow, Kansas City, that's pretty well done. How do you not sell out for the middle? There must have been a tell with the body language. Sometimes the quarterback kind of leans back if they're not going to do it.
Yeah, there is some, So, golly, I do. I keep thinking about that now. I wonder, like, every year we see something or a point of emphasis where they'll go, okay, well, what are we going to do now? Because you could almost run that play on 4th and 2, 4th and 2.5.
Yes. Yeah, you could.
Because they get 3 almost every time.
It's violent. That's a violent scrum.
It's a rugby scrum. It's cool to watch.
The way to stop that would be to remove helmets. I don't know that everybody would be that, crazy.
Yeah, they wouldn't. I missed somebody did donate earlier. I want to make sure. Marcus, good on you, man. This is nice. Wishing our brother well. Checking in on my brother, Director Matthew. Tough way to lose. Congrats, Chiefs fans and wagers. Yes, still go Birds. That's classy, Marcus. And yeah, it's a toughie, man. I did. I went to bed. I clicked off the TV right when the game ended. I didn't need to see the celebrations afterwards, and I kind of laid my head on the pillow and went, man, feel for my guy Matthew. That's a toughie. That's just watching that as those seconds are going off. You're like, yeah, the only reason I watched the field goal is because there was the chance he could slip.
Yeah, that's a good point. That's a good point.
There was a chance he could slip. So I'm like, well, let's see.
And Butker has left the game. He's being evaluated for a head injury.
Yeah, I mean, I did. I was like, well, I guess he could miss it given that he could slip. Man,
You ready to see Michael Keaton don the Batman cape and cowl again?
Oh, is that who that was in the? I had it done low. Yeah,
he's back.
Is it Justice League? Was it?
It's the Flash movie.
Oh,
yeah.
No, I don't.
No.
Okay. I don't. My thing. I don't have to keep doing this. I don't watch superhero movies. No, I don't care about them at all.
Be the 34th anniversary of the first Batman
and the 157th Batman made in the last 5 years.
Right.
It's okay. They'll make another one. Don't worry about it. They can
stand to make about 157 more.
I don't have it.
Did you wager the coin toss?
I didn't wager the coin toss this year. I didn't get around to it. You know what I was doing? I was cooking for the family and just kind of I like leading up to it. I was kind of thinking, well, what do I want to bet? I already had a few bets in, and I thought anything more I want to add to it, and I didn't. I was good to go, and I'm glad I did it because I had a good stretch there, successful.
Is that the latest kickoff time in
6:30
in Super Bowl history? It was like 6:44, I think, is by the time it toe met leather, to use Gene Deckerhoff's parlance. I thought it used to be like 6:15.
I feel like, and maybe it was because I was a kid. I used to feel like the Super Bowl didn't end until it was way too late. I was like, why? It's 11:30 at night. We're still watching the Super Bowl. But I think I was just a kid, and it was really 10. Didn't the last night's game in at 10-ish?
Somewhere in there.
10, 15-ish? Well, if they don't have...
I never checked my watch or the clock because I was just too locked in.
Yeah, if they don't have, and this is anybody any year, if they don't have a 30-minute halftime show, then we could have a game played in a normal time frame.
That helped out Mahomes. They found every ounce of Toradol or, milliliter of Toradol they could find.
Yeah.
That looked like it was game over with the discomfort he was in.
Well, it looked awfully painful, too, by the way. That's one of those ones where you watch it and you're like, again with the ankle.
Well, and they shot him up before the game with tons of stuff. And so for it to be excruciating through whatever shots and painkillers they gave him, that had to be something else.
He does that thing that they would teach you never to do, and it's another cool thing if he's on your team. Frustrating if he's not. But it is awesome that there's an awareness to him to turn around and look where the defender is before you decide, I have to go on this gimp ankle. Now, I'm going to get hawked down, and I know I'm going to get hawked down. The question is, how many yards am I going to get before I get hawked down? And the evaluation in the moment is rapid fire. It's like, oh, you're still 3 steps behind. I got 8 yards for sure, maybe more. And then he had more. And it's just he's turning his entire head to the opposing defense. It's a form of bravery. It really is silly. You would not turn your head to NFL defensemen. Let's just put it that way. Even if they are DBs and safeties at that point, like you're going to want to see what's coming at you.
Well, in an age of specialization, he is somebody who makes a great case because of the MLB pedigree of his family, his dad being a former Major League Baseball player. You see crossover elements in his game. I don't,
all the time.
Turning his back is not one of them, but you're talking about arm angles earlier.
Basketball
that's
point guard play. Yeah.
That's so infielder, though, to me. It's just, you see shortstops and second baseman. That's why I probably need Tommy John myself. I used to emulate that. Bad idea. These guys are very special. You can't do that.
Yeah, they are very special.
And he's like El Duque. He's like El Duque as a quarterback because you just never know what slot it's coming from. Hell, was it their first or second drive? The guy slips and falls. Breaking news. But he had the forward pitch on third down. It was almost picked off. But
it was a stupid decision.
It was a dumb decision. But that's him.
Oh, he does it all the time. Well, he was parallel to the ground against the Bucs on the one throw. I mean, now you want to talk about Superman or superhero movies. That was the dumbest thing I've ever seen. Who does that? I mean,
Michael Keaton could have done it.
Grab a 20-something-year-old and have him just jump sideways and see if he can throw the ball underhand and get anything on anybody out there. I couldn't do that. I'd kill myself. But yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, and not end up in the hospital.
Right.
Even with 20-year-old bones. That's dangerous.
It's silly. He does things like that all the time. I know it gets old when he's not your quarterback. It gets old, but I get it, man. He is a freak. We're watching, again, we watch the evolution of a sport all the time. Sports are always moving forward. Sometimes they're not for the better, but when we talk about levels of athlete to play the position, he's completely unique. He's really completely unique.
And yet, throw for throw, the better quarterback last night was wearing green, I think. It's amazing to me how at the NFL level, you are now seeing collegiate type plays. And it's not something, that's weird. It's just kind of is now. things we see on Saturdays now exist on Sundays, and they're sustainable. And Hurts is better than that. I'm not trying to demean him. He made 4 or 5 throws last night that are otherworldly good and accurate and everything that we've asked for from an NFL passer forever. I mean, he's gone to a different place.
Yeah, those 2 last night put on a clinic. I don't know that he was better. I mean, 1 incompletion in the second half on, was it 3 touchdown drives, 4 touchdown drives? So that's tough. I mean, he was that good. His quarterback rating, Patrick Mahomes, 131.8. I know that's not everything. Jalen Hurts, 103.4. Both were really good. You can't fumble the ball. It's just such a toughie.
That's why I said throw for throw.
They're both really good. Really, really good. Kelsey, by the way, who felt like after the first half was quiet, wasn't. 6 catches, 81 yards, and a touchdown, where the whole world knows he's going to get the ball. But again, we talk about the different weapons that they picked up in the offseason because they didn't pay Cheetah. So you got Sky Moore, Kadarius Toney, guys like that. Watson. Juju Smith-Schuster got hot in that game. But it took a little while. Hour number 2, forthcoming. Stay with Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Hi, everybody. It's Ed Dean, Florida's #1 statewide radio talk show. Now in Tallahassee, afternoon drive from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on Real Talk 93.3 FM. Yes, highly entertaining, fast-paced, never boring. We always give you the story behind the story when you catch the Ed Dean radio show. And we are ready to go. Tallahassee daily, 5 to 6 p.m. It's the Ed Dean radio show on Real Talk 93.3 FM, WVFT.
When I get home from work, I'm ready to relax. So I call Swain Pools and Spas to put my pool in the back. I call Swain Pools and Spas. Now I'm soaking up the fun when I want to.
Truckloads of new and used Caldera and Hot Spring Spas are available now at Swain Pools and Spas. Don't wait. Get to Swain Pools and browse the best inventory to find the spa of your dreams. These won't last long, so come see us today. Just look for the huge sign on Tharp Street or call 386-7113 for Swain Pools and Spas.
I know what you're thinking right now. Where can I find a place to get my car fixed and also check out some awesome new hot tubs and spas while I wait? Well, you're in luck. Because when you bring your car or truck in to get serviced at Tallahassee Car Care, it's under the same roof as Swain Pools and Spas for tires, brakes, batteries, tune-ups, oil changes, and all the service you need to get back on the road. Choose the certified technicians at Tallahassee Car Care. Drop by our shop on Tharp Street or visit online at TallahasseeCarCare.com.
Over 50 years ago, when Paul Nicholson founded Paul's Termite and Pest Control, he had one goal in mind: provide the best service possible to his neighbors so they felt like family. Your problem was his problem, so today it's our problem. Paul's service area is our home. It's where our kids go to school, where we shop, and where we get involved with community organizations. So if some out-of-town company knocks on your door and begins pressuring you to sign an agreement for termite or pest control, you can bet on a few things. Number 1, you'll never see that person again. Number 2, your technician is likely to change often. And number 3, your money will not stay in North Florida. These companies are sending your money to home offices in Atlanta, Orlando, Salt Lake City, or even Great Britain. Paul's Termite and Pest Control knows local means something to you. The health of your Tallahassee home, family, and pets is our #1 priority. For the elimination of termites and pests and a greener lawn too, call your local company with local solutions. Paul's Termite and Pest Control.
There's fun to be had every night at the Corner Pocket. Take home prizes on Trivia Tuesdays and Beer Bingo Thursdays. And kickstart your weekend with Martini Fridays. Plus happy hour runs every weekday and game day specials every time the Noles take the field. Watch all the best games at the Corner Pocket's Vegas Wall, featuring 560 inches of flat screen TV heaven.
Oh, really?
The best food, the best drinks, and the best place to watch all the games. Tallahassee loves the Corner Pocket.
Coming up next, more of the Jeff Cameron Show. Live and local on Real Talk 93.3. WVFT, Greta, Tallahassee. The latest betting odds and line movements from Vegas. This is your action update. Now here are your latest lines from our guys in the desert.
Number 19, Miami on the road at North Carolina in ACC basketball today. The Tar Heels are the 4.5-point home favorite. 153.5 the total at the Dean Smith Center in Chapel Hill. Miami, the third choice for the ACC title at plus 450. Virginia, the favorite, minus 190. Pitt, the second choice, at plus 350. In the NBA, the Orlando Magic, a 5-point dog at the Chicago Bulls, 238 the total. Atlanta Hawks laying 5 at Charlotte. The Hornets have dropped 7 straight. Chiefs win the Super Bowl, and they're 6-1 to win Super Bowl 58. The Jaguars are 28-1, Buccaneers 60-1. Sign up now for your free VSiN subscription at vsin.com/subscribe. For more sports betting news and information, go to vsin.com. Mike Son at Real Talk 93.3.
Hey, drop what you're doing and clear your schedules. I heard Kohl's added thousands of new markdowns to clearance. And when I went, I saved up to 70% on so much cool stuff. Like cute home essentials, jeans for my whole fam, a cozy sweater for myself, a pair of boots for my husband, and more. So yeah, don't miss out. Get to Kohl's and thank me later. Select styles up to 70% offer ends February 20th. See store or Kohls.com for details.
It's time to think about your tax refund. And Jackson Hewitt wants you to think biggest. As in, we guarantee you'll get your biggest refund or your money back plus $100. Who offers that? Come to think of it, nobody. It's one of the biggest guarantees out there and why you can't just file with anybody. For your guaranteed biggest refund, go to Jackson Hewitt today. Your wallet will thank you. When every dollar matters, it matters who does your taxes.
This is Kyle, Service Manager from Barano Heating and Air. Schedule an appointment from your mobile device to learn about our Total Comfort Service Program. With guaranteed same-day service, 15% off necessary repairs, and $25 berry bucks to use towards air filters and other products. Turn to the experts at Carrier and Barano Heating and Air. Any day, anytime, anywhere. Online at baranoac.com.
Florida license CAC 1816-186.
There's nothing like relaxing in a hot tub after a long day. But if you don't have one, you're truly missing out. Hot tubs and spas have tremendous health benefits, besides just helping you relax. Like improving your sleep, they help with pain relief. They help to better your cardiovascular health, and so much more. And this season is the perfect season to finally buy what you've been wishing for. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patio, and Spas has the hot tubs you need for the price you want. Come shop our huge 12,000 square foot showroom and save today. There's over 50 hot tubs in stock right now, so you won't have to wait weeks on end for that delivery to finally come to town. If you're ready to relax, we're here to show you how. Pinch a Penny Pool, Patios, and Spas. Come visit our huge showroom at 2473 Greer Road with over 50 hot tubs to choose from. You'll be glad you did.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
Broadcasting live from Florida's capital city, this is the Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness on Real Talk 93.3. Now, stop what you're doing and listen closely. It's time for the Jeff Cameron Show in 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
USFL is getting ready to get started again there, Tom. So is the XFL, right?
Yeah.
I won't. I can't.
Not even for your own Terrell Buckley, the Knoll interest, to see how he does as a head coach?
I'll root for him to do well. I really am so seasonal. It's weird. I kind of woke up today with a renewed sense of baseball is on the horizon. I told you last week, I bought tickets to see a spring training game. I'm going to buy another one. My interest in the Lightning has peaked again, as well as, we are always paying attention, but now we're getting into that part of the season. We're post All-Star break.
That was a bad beat on the total.
Yeah, 3-1.
If you watched the game, you would see how many point-blank scoring chances were turned away, mostly by Tampa's goalie, Vasilevsky. But that one was that was a tough beat, but that's okay because the Lightning win.
It happens sometimes. So there's that. And then, the frustrations of this basketball season. Now, I did really enjoy yesterday's NBA. I know that's not something you guys want me to talk about, so that's fine. But this basketball season, as far as Florida State goes, nearly over, thankfully. Frustrating. We get to welcome in Florida State baseball, Major League Baseball. I'll be happy about that. I do have a hard time, though, because I'm so seasonal. Excuse me. Bit my tongue as I was talking. I do have a hard time, struggle with watching any of the non-fall football leagues that have ever cropped up, and of which there have been a dozen in my lifetime, if not more.
Well, if you only liked one sport, then you could.
Yeah.
But it's tough because you like all sports. I tie them to the seasons just like you do. We're kind of wired backwards post-pandemic because these seasons were shuffled from spring to fall to make it all work and make some money for each league. But we're kind of back on schedule now, which is nice.
We are, yeah. And I like that as well. We got a great game last night. We had a wonderful game, and so you end up at least with a send-off for football that will remain in your memories of the great games. We've had several of them lately in the Super Bowl, really some really good games that at the very least were in question in the fourth quarter and provided some drama. Last night, no different. But, yeah, as soon as it ended, I turned off the light and went to bed. I got up today, refreshed, really looking forward to the start of Florida State baseball. Opening day this Friday for everybody who don't know. And I understand this can't be a 2-hour subject on a daily basis, not Florida State baseball, which needs large sample sizes in general for you to really glean anything about what a team is or is not. But it will be good to be back over at Hauser. And I'm interested to see the brand of baseball we see. And I am also interested in the return of MLB.
So it's 5 p.m. on Friday for opening day for FSU baseball, and it's 2 p.m. Saturday and noon on Sunday. Tickets are hard to come by this year, though. People are locked in for Link. So we'll see how the grandstands fill out beyond this weekend, but I know it's a tough ticket to get. 5 to 2 and noon.
Good article. I want to draw your attention to the article over the weekend. I've been asked this question a lot, and it hasn't been, I've answered it in pieces. I have not gone long form to discuss what's happened to this year's Florida State basketball team, which, by the way, lost another game over the weekend. But Irish Chaffel wrote a really good piece for us on warchant.com, and I would encourage you guys to go read said piece. What has happened to FSU basketball and what comes next is the name of the article. You can see it on warchant.com. And there are some numbers that are absolutely staggering and tough to stomach when you consider what Florida State certainly has been previous to these last couple of years and where they're at now. Some of those numbers about the home losses, which that really breaks your heart because of where they were. Florida State's loss to Pitt was their 5th in a row at the Tucker Center. That is not something you and I could have imagined just a few years ago. They're 5-9 at home. They're 8-18 overall. From the start of 2016, 2017 through 2021, okay? The Noles were 76-6 inside the Tucker Center. 76-6. If you look at the final 3 home games of the 15-16 season and put them through the first 3 of the 2021-2022 season, they had won 82 times to just 6 losses. 82-6 over 5 years for Florida State at home. The fact that they've lost 6 games at home, 9 in less than 82 days. It's crazy.
I'll never forget it. I hope we get back to it somehow, some way. But that building was the hottest ticket in town, was the place to be, and you couldn't watch it on television. You couldn't. You had to go.
Oh,
it
you
was
wanted to
just
be in that room.
so much better.
You wanted to be in that room. You're absolutely
All
right.
of the
so
moments.
awesome.
I mean, there are more overtime finishes and last second shots that either went or didn't go than I can remember off the top of my head. But we had several overtime results, one possession wins. Remember those stats over that period of time?
Oh, unbelievable.
Some of the ACC Big Ten clashes, a Florida game or two in there.
Well, think about this, Tom, and you're right to bring all these things up. Florida State was viable nationally as a program. We had realistic visions of a trip to the Final Four. And for people who sometimes forget that, Florida State had gone to the Elite Eight and then the Sweet 16. And here we were getting ready in the Elite Eight, like I said, a year before that, they'd advanced to at least the round of 32 3 years in a row. They'd been kicking at the door, as Ira writes, to national prominence for that time. A lineup that featured NBA players in Trent Forrest, Devin Vassell, Patrick Williams. They entered the 2020 season postseason 26-5 on that year. They were 16-4 in the ACC. They were the regular season ACC champions. They were going to be a 1 or a 2 seed. Could have been a 1 national seed. Worst case scenario, 2 for the NCAA tournament. And then obviously COVID happened and the season was shut down. But you think about what that team would have been. They would have, first of all, they would have played in Florida, in the state of Florida, in the first 2 games. It's just, it's not that far removed. That was the 2020 postseason.
Yeah, it's, we would never have known the difference, but I feel such relief when I reflect upon the fact that Coach Hamilton said yes to the cutting down of the nets.
That night, that day after beat Boston College.
Yes.
Yeah, I was at that game with the kids.
I'm so glad he said yes to that because nobody wanted to leave. It reminded me of being in the building when the Lightning won the Stanley Cup back in 2004.
Mm-hmm.
The celebrations that happen on the ice, it's kind of an awkward deal if you think about it. You're just watching somebody else celebrate from a seat. That's kind of strange.
Yeah.
And yet it's not, because if you're in the building, you understand, and nobody wants to leave. Everybody's just happy and standing in place. And it felt very much that way when Coach Ham, Coach Stan Jones, the other assistants went up the ladder to cut down the nets along with the players. I'm just so grateful that was given a green light, because in retrospect, that is going to be the peak moment for Leonard Hamilton. It was supposed to be the first in a series of big moments that postseason, but it's all we had. Other than that, it was an awkward address from the ACC commissioner on the court saying, by default, Florida State is your ACC tournament champion. And then weird interviews afterwards. It was like noon on a Wednesday or noon on a Friday.
We were at the office and talking about what are we going to do here? Yeah, how's this going to work? I feel like I could document the many ways in which Florida State lost the game over the weekend, but nobody really cares about that. It was different than the last time we lost, because this time around we couldn't hit threes at all. And you got a weird performance. Maybe Tough Love Cameron made a return to the seat here, because Jalen Worley, who I told you stinks, did go 9 of 11 in this game with 23 points. Played really well. First time this year he's played well, but he did. Tough Love found his way back. I'll have to start doling out the insults each week.
How about Tough Love to get a result?
Cameron Corn had 13 points, played well. He's been a nice player this year for us as a freshman. Matthew Cleveland had 6 points. And it was a narrow loss. So there you go. You have a narrow loss, and you get 2 guys who haven't done anything for, you get 1 guy who hasn't done anything for you all year, drop 23 points. Another guy is a freshman. He scores 13 and plays very well. 5 of 7, 3 of 3 from the free throw line, 5 boards, all that. And then one of your stars, I understand he had a back issue, but there's always something. So, I don't know. They got 2 remaining home games. This is the reality of their situation. A guaranteed losing home record for the first time since 2000, 2001 under Steve Robinson with the Red Zone, when I used to interview him in the mornings, have to pretend to be excited about the big matchup later that evening. We finished 6-10 at the TLC en route to a 9-21 season that year, 4-12 in the ACC. This is the first time since 81-82 in the inaugural season of the brand new TLC that they have dropped 5 consecutive home games. Back then, they lost to Tulane, Memphis, South Carolina, Virginia Tech, and Cincinnati as part of an 11-17 campaign under Joe Williams. Anyhow, you're getting into numbers that are brutal, hard to fathom. And the whole, why is this team that bad? How did they miss the boat that bad? What was it they failed to do? Ham has taken responsibility over the course of the season, has mentioned that he missed the memo about transfers to the degree of which he needed to go get more for senior and junior level veteran presence.
It's gotten, sounds like my microphone is failing.
Great. Here we go.
It's gotten to the point that I check the calendar now and way more often. And I'm like, oh, God, it's only February 13th. Oh, God, it's only February 14th. Oh, no, it's February 17th. That's where this basketball program is. I'll go to the other side of the glass maybe for the next segment.
We may have to. Take a break on that note. Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
Car accident? Call Basic Brooks Law Offices, 777-7777.
Wooden Glass has been taking care of families since 1945.
Experienced, reliable professionals who offer only the best, like Wooden's top-of-the-line bath enclosures. Eye-catching storefronts are a specialty at Wooden Glass, and they provide precise installation.
Wooden Glass, Tallahassee's first family in glass. Online at woodenglass.com. Call 850-222-5781.
Hey, no fans, our partner ISF Inc. is a national management and IT consulting firm located right here in Tallahassee, Florida, solving the future for state governments through strategy, process, and technology. As a trusted advisor for state governments, ISF knows the importance of defining a clear and detailed strategy. Our friends at ISF can help your organization create a strategy that sets you on a path to success. ISF, your vision plus our expertise brings your brilliant ideas to life. Visit ISF.com to learn more. ISF, solving the future.
Choose Hearth and Patio for custom fireplaces, maintenance, outdoor grills, kitchens, fire pits, lighting, and so much more. Check out all of Hearth and Patio's options online at hearthpatiotallahassee.com. Hearth and Patio, they keep the home fires burning.
A cup of Joe, Java, brew, go-go beans, brain water, liquid lightning, wakey juice, whatever you call your cup of coffee, you're missing out if it's not Grassroots Coffee. At grassrootscoffee.com, you'll find an easy way to order the best roasted coffee beans available. It's very simple. Choose the blend you want and how you want it ground, and the bag you receive will have the date your beans were roasted and packaged on it, all written by hand and signed by the roast master himself. You'll know that's as fresh as it gets. You can get Grassroots outside of your house also at some of your favorite restaurants in town. Next time you're out to eat, try asking for Grassroots Coffee by name, because there's a good chance they will have it for you. And if you own a business, Grassroots Coffee has options to stock your break rooms with all the productivity powder your team needs. Plus, like some other options that you'll find at work, Grassroots Coffee actually is a part of our community. Get to grassrootscoffee.com today and get yourself a treat. Some locally owned, locally roasted, and locally loved Grassroots Coffee.
When you need a plumber quick, how long is an acceptable time to have to wait?
Yeah, hey, it's the Millers again. Just calling you about our little plumbing problem.
2 hours?
Hey, we were hoping you can get here soon because the water is getting really bad. I mean, please hurry.
4 hours?
I know you said you were on your way, but, honey, tell the kids to tread water.
8 hours?
Don't worry about us. We're fine.
At M&L Plumbing, you'll never have to wait long for quality, dependable service, right when you need it. At M&L Plumbing, we listen to our customers, and our qualified technicians aim to achieve 100% customer satisfaction. So the next time you need plumbing work or repairs, think of the name M&L Plumbing, your local plumbing experts, commercial or residential. Give us a call, 850-575-9393, or visit us online at mandlplumbing.com. M&L Plumbing, for all of your plumbing needs.
We all want more energy, more strength, more results. Well, welcome to Orange Theory Fitness as you take a step towards feeling more alive today. Backed by science, Orange Theory's heart rate monitored workout is scientifically designed to keep heart rates in a target zone, spiking metabolism and increasing energy. Orange Theory Fitness is a one-of-a-kind group personal training workout resulting in more energy, visible toning, and extra calorie burn for up to 36 hours. Experience a more vibrant life today with Orange Theory Fitness. To find out more, go to orangetheoryfitness.com.
The Jeff Cameron Show, brought to you by Orange Theory Fitness. 2 Tallahassee locations, Midtown on Thomasville Road and Northside in the Village Common Shopping Center. Online at orangetheoryfitness.com.
Jay Cameron Show. Also, happy anniversary, Dave. I see in the chat. Today, he celebrates 28 years of marriage. Thanks for listening to the show. Thanks for watching the show. Also, by the way, your anniversary and mine, very, very similar. My anniversary was over the weekend on Saturday. 17 years of marriage.
17 years.
17 years. 20 years I've been with my wife. 17 years that we've been married. And so it is. Yeah. It was, you know, you have to have a really like-minded way in which you go about celebrating, whether they be anniversaries or any other sort of togetherness moments. I'm not a romantic, if you will, and either is my wife. Now, about certain things, mainly our relationship.
So tomorrow's not a big day for you.
No, it was yesterday. It was Saturday. It
No,
was
but also Valentine's.
Oh, no, we never celebrate Valentine's Day. No, that's just silliness. That's also a manufactured holiday. That's not real. But yeah. So we do the we don't do anything tomorrow. We might eat Mexican food. We do that every Valentine's Day because it's an excuse to eat Mexican food.
Nice.
Yeah.
All right.
That's our big Valentine's Day celebration is. What do you want to do? You want to eat some Mexican food? Me too. All right. So that's what we do. But yeah, so like, what are we doing this weekend for our anniversary? I don't really want to do anything. I'd rather just have a nice dinner with you somewhere and maybe just hang out and maybe watch a movie. Sounds like a plan to me. And that's what we did. So
was it a good movie?
We actually watched a show. We watched Ricky Gervais' show.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, it was really, really good.
I introduced my wife to Burn After Reading.
She's never seen it?
No. And at the end, she's cackling, saying, "So it was all nothing." I was like, "Yeah, pretty much.
It's great."
Yeah.
Yeah, the whole thing is great. So did she laugh out loud, as they say, with the Brad Pitt dance?
Yes.
You can't help it. It's funny every time.
And then also the scene with him and Malkovich in the car.
Yeah.
You think that's a schwab? Yeah.
Hey, you mentioned it earlier. Post Super Bowl, everybody figures out what their team needs, and then you read all the articles about how to evaluate what teams need. And obviously, if your team wins it, like the Kansas City Chiefs did, they'll have to do some work to continue to keep Patrick Mahomes protected. There are some guys that they'll have to decide, do you let go on unrestricted free agents? Travis Kelce has shown no signs of decline, but, you know, we're talking about some other guys that are turning older, 34 years old in October for Kelce. So there's that. He's been doing it forever. Philadelphia Eagles, I mentioned they have free agents, Miles Sanders, C.J. Gardner-Johnson, Bradbury, aforementioned, who unfortunately had that situation, Brendan Graham, another guy. They've got some dudes. And then they got to figure out how much money they're going to give Jalen Hurts. But I'll scroll down for our sake, Tom, just for fun.
How far?
It takes a minute.
Yeah.
By the way, Jags fans, here you go. You're in the top 10 in the all-too-early projection of NFL teams for next year, much like they do for college football. Here you go. Here's the pro version. The Jags on the rise, as we know. The suggestion in the rankings, fix the cap. The Jaguars are $30.1 million over the salary cap. Their GM is going to have to make some cuts. Shaquille Griffin will be one of them in all likelihood. Restructure contracts to get under the cap. Getting this done will make re-signing Evan Ingram and possibly Juwan Taylor, the right tackle, a little easier, though. Expect the Jaguars to be careful with how much money they're pushing into the future because they'll need to start at least looking about the long-term deal for Trevor Lawrence, who they now probably have to come around on. So if we go back to the state, Jacksonville in a real good position, right there with them, Tom. Miami, they got to get healthy. And they got to figure out if it's possible that Tua can be healthy long-term.
Well, but he's coming up towards the end of his rookie deal, right? So they could just let him walk and not have cap penalties, and they don't have to double down and pay him the lion's share of money that a lot of these rookie quarterbacks or first contract quarterbacks get when they graduate up the ranks.
Right.
Like Trevor Lawrence is trending to be a lot more expensive than Tua is for their next deals. So you could have the trial go on for maybe another year, and then after that, you got to get what they're getting because your window as a franchise is closing. But typically, you want to make hay when you're on that first contract. Russell Wilson with Seattle, they did it there. I mean, that's how Philly got to where they are, and that's what you just documented at the top of the list. So for Jacksonville, it's kind of tough because as they're arriving, they're having to pay their quarterback probably more than he's worth, but they can't let him walk. For Miami, you can run this experiment back one more year, I think. You've got enough weapons on offense. It's truly a dynamic group down there. But that division's tough as well.
Poor bastard. They're going to have to do the cruelest thing, which is find out whether or not he's permanently injured by letting him go back out there and take another big hit. I got to do it.
Which he will.
Yes, he will. And he's tough. But brain injuries, I don't have a lot of hope that's going to get much better.
So of the 3 franchises in the state, who's in the best position? It ain't Tampa. So between the 2, Jacksonville and Miami, it's actually a fair debate.
It's a fair debate because they're both well coached. And Jacksonville's really well coached.
And also that division is a lot better to deal with.
You can navigate.
Yeah.
Fun teams for next year. The teams that we talk about every year that are they on the cusp. For example, Detroit's a fun team next year. They're a top 15 club this year. They went 9-8 this year. If they get any good at all on defense, then they weren't for much of the season. Second half, they got better. Then you saw them explode. It was shocking that Goff became a legitimate quarterback, and he was good this year. Okay.
We talk about this. You projected to the best event of one of the best events of the year. Every event has its role. But the draft watch party.
Love it.
All of these franchises are all interesting. The NFL continues to win. The NFC as a whole is open for business. The AFC is about reshuffling, reorganizing, what'll put Buffalo over the top, what happens with Miami. Things Jacksonville's now relevant. But at the draft party, pretty much every fan base this year has something legitimate and interesting to talk about.
We're not far away from being able to talk about the draft party, which we always have, which is always a lot of fun. It is funny to see the teams that fall off a cliff this offseason. We're one of them. There are several teams that you think, they're not going to be interesting for some years to come. You could argue the Vegas Raiders will not be interesting because Derek Carr is on his way out. What are you going to start Jarrett Stidham? Really? Okay, good luck with that. The Rams, not interesting, 5-12, salary cap hell, can't stay healthy. Got a problem there.
Packers have to be careful here. They're teetering.
Carolina Panthers don't matter still, although they did turn the corner at least ever so briefly for about a 4-game stretch where they were playing hard, but they did finish 7-10. Titans don't feel like they matter much anymore on the list of teams that are falling out of favor. I know I love Derrick Henry, but they went 7-10.
What a shame.
They got to retool the offense. The Tampa Bay Bucks don't matter right now. I mean, obviously, it's a toughie. You're replacing a 7-time Super Bowl winner at quarterback, but we already knew it.
They're an absurd amount over the cap right now as it is. And Brady's $35 million hit, it carries, and he's not going to play for him. $35 million against the cap, Tom Brady next year.
I don't know, what Evans, David, Godwin, White combination of what do you do question.
You let Evans ride out into the sunset with this franchise in Tampa if he wants to. If he wants out, you let him out. If he wants to stick around, let him collect records in your uniform.
The threshold for that is always interesting, right? Eventually a player plays his way into, okay, you've earned it. You're a lifer. I will never vote to get rid of you because anything that you do from this point forward is a franchise record. Some of them are NFL records. It's a Hall of Fame resume you're building, and I want you to build all of it right here in Tampa. Therefore, we get another guy into that Hall of Fame. It's like collecting toys, who has the most at the end, all those things in Tampa Bay. Obviously, spent a better part of its infancy losing to the point where it was a laughingstock, and now this is the revenge, right? The 2 Super Bowls and the guys that just went into the Hall of Fame like Barber. Those are big deals to Tampa fans and the city and the franchise as a whole, and you don't want to turn your back on that. They almost had to turn their back on Barber. We had these debates back when this was going on. What do you do with Ronnie Barber? I remember thinking, well, I mean, he's worn out his usefulness. What are we going to do?
They say goodbye to Derek Brooks in favor of Cato June. Remember those days?
Yeah. Luckily, Derek didn't go play for New Orleans like he was considering.
But when you win the Super Bowl, it's A-OK. Now, Atlanta's a franchise that was unable to finish the job of 28-3.
Didn't finish the job, did they? No.
And so this has been a painful process. But you know what? That seems like a group that's on the upswing. They play really hard for Arthur Smith. They're a couple of pieces away. That is now a from being a playoff team, a division winner.
Well, our division could be won.
Of course.
It could be won with very little.
But that was a scrappy bunch with not a whole ton of talent by the end of the year. They're finally a viable conversation piece. You know, after 28-3, nobody really wanted to talk about them. But now this is what the NFL does. This machine. We're on the downswing, but we've got the ring to wear while we're on that ride.
It's one of the reasons we love it. Briley, I saw your comment, and you're always good in the chat, and I will address this. Tom and I had this discussion. I want to circle back to what we were talking about before the break. And I hated saying it out loud at the time, and I had to be very careful in the way that I said it, but I think it's true. Briley writes, oh boy, Ham is done. I wish it weren't so. It's our reality. The question will be whether he will retire turn it around next year and leave on his own terms, hand the next guy a team on the upswing, or implode the thing and have Alfred make the decision for him? You're right. I think that is where this is headed. Does he find a way through the portal and transfers to bring in veteran players that make them competitive for a year to get to the postseason and then bow out on that note? Or does he believe that the pieces are in place? And I don't think he does, based on some of the comments he's made regarding the roster.
He's been very transparent about the failures he's had and been responsible for, and then also the lack of consistency and mental toughness and all those things.
It's hard not to be, right? When you're losing this many games in a row and when your record is this bad, how can you not stare those realities in the face, own them? He's nothing if not a man of conviction, honesty, integrity. He's going to own that. What is he going to do? Oh, well, it's somebody else's fault? No, he's never going to do that. So he's done a good job with that. The question is not enough to say that publicly, but whether you can do anything about it. Are they equipped to do anything about it? And I don't know if the answer is yes to that, because this is not a traditional power like so many other places where you could maybe get by on your cachet and find kids who are desperate to align themselves with the brand that is Duke, the brand that is North Carolina or Indiana even, or somebody like that, right? But we're not that. I know the run I just got done documenting is historic, especially for Florida State, and it was unique in the ACC that Florida State was able to do that. But it doesn't take long for you to fall out of favor. And I worry he won't be capable. That again, I don't know who on this roster that you would exactly want to keep. There's a few younger players that I like, but who says they stick around when they see this mess?
Right. They've got the option to walk.
They've got the option to leave.
Yeah.
And how many transfers are you getting to come into you after you have an 8-win, 9-win, 10-win season?
Well, a couple of things. Number one, he can't be done and have an option be that he turns it around next year. If he's done, he's done. In terms the statement that Ham has done.
Well,
it's a compelling pitch, though, I think, if you wanted to lay it out to the basketball boosters, and I know that there are a scant amount compared to the football boosters.
I can name the 7 most important pretty easily.
Well, then you call the 7. Maybe you get them all in a room together. It's not that expensive to do. And you say, look, we've got to do a little bit of extra heavy lifting, wink, wink, nod, nod, this offseason to flip the roster and put this program back in a position to where you say this was a blip on the radar. This is our exit strategy. We are handing off a program that is very, very good in the last 10 years, 15 years of ACC basketball to make it an attractive place for the next guy to take it.
The question is the caliber.
But you
of the
have to think about the exit strategy.
You do. What I do find fascinating, one of the things that Ham could do that would make him feel good about leaving, unfortunately, not on the terms that he would have liked, but maybe in a way that is satisfactory, is if you approach CY for this job. You're not going to get Gates. He's the head coach at Missouri. You're not going to get him. He's getting paid handsomely. They just got done with a huge upset. They're having a great year. He's making SEC money. You're not going to get him. But his assistant CY can be had because this would be a head coaching job in the ACC. And he was here doing a great job with Gates. As a recruiter, that guy was elite. And he got a lot of the great players that we just got done mentioning who were part of that Elite Eight run and that would have, in my opinion, certainly gone to the Final Four had COVID not happened. So you can get him probably cheaper than you can most established coaches because he's not been the head coach.
Yeah, that raises a tough question, though. That's where CY, in a moment, to himself, has to decide, am I in a better position to hang out here at Missouri, continue to succeed, be the shining light in the conference where my head coach is winning Coach of the Year awards because of the amazing job he's done? I could get a better opportunity than Florida State if I hang out at Missouri, continue to whoop ass for the next 2 years. Does he come to that conclusion, or does he have an affinity for helping cement the legacy of what Coach Ham did here, build his own?
Remember how much he loves Coach Ham.
That's the question, though. Does he love him enough to say, all right?
I don't know, man. I mean, it's an ACC job. You're not taking a mid-level job. You're taking an ACC job that was just 2 years removed from certainly being one of the better teams in this league.
Maybe part of the math is maybe Florida State joins one of the big 2 conferences, and this is I'm getting in while the getting's good on the ground floor of the funding that's about to come down the line because Florida State's going to be in one of the big 2 conferences. But if we don't, let's just say for the next 5 years we remain in the ACC, our relative conference reputation and standing is dropping to borderline. Of the 5 or 6 big conferences, it's the bottom of the pack / mid-major. We're careening. North Carolina's on the bubble. North Carolina's that's North Carolina.
Mm-hmm. I know. Breaks the heart to see Carolina struggling in the one thing that they take so much pride in. Heartbreaking to see it.
Perhaps that'll get them to move the process along here and be one of the votes we need.
I don't know. I think you could get CY if you offered him the head coaching job at Florida State. I don't know that he would do much better if he stuck around at Missouri. This is a good job if you got some investments and you believe. If you think you can still recruit at the level you were recruiting at when you were here last time, that those connections will pay off for you and you get the players. Because when you start winning here, people do show up. People do care. Admittedly, this is not a basketball-rich place. Over the course of the last 50 years, they have their moments. We can point to them on the calendar. We know that there have been that precious few. But when it's right, you were right to point it out. It was one of the best atmospheres in basketball. You had traditional basketball powers and analysts and coaches saying, man, I don't like going to play at that place. It's impossible. They've turned it into an actual home court advantage. It's as loud as anywhere in the conference. The place is rabid for basketball these days, and they were all giving Ham a ton of credit for that.
Yeah, the mind that was most important to change was Jay Billis because
he talks about it every week.
And he was here for the Dulkies game in 2012 with College Game Day when it was a brand new basketball product, and they had the game day show, and ESPN vowed to never come back because nobody went. Nobody went to the pregame show. They all just showed up.
It felt dead as hell.
Right. And the game itself was amazing, and the place was raucous.
Because Hokies couldn't miss.
But they said, you know what? We're not going to waste our resources coming to Tallahassee if they're not going to show up as a fan base. Well, by the end of that, 8-year run, Billis is on Big Monday, piping into Scott Van Pelt Sports Center saying,
one of the best places in the country.
This is nuts. Yeah. This place is nuts.
Well, they had totally done a 180, and again, that was because of Ham. I don't like having to have these conversations because of those previous successes, but the reality is they stink right now. There's just no getting around that. You can love the guy, and I do. And I love what he stands for and what he's done off the court as well as on it, but damn it, man, they're awful. That product is not watchable, and nobody's going. Nobody's going to those games. If you're look at the attendance lately.
Yeah.
Painful. Would you take Derek Carr?
No.
The Jeff Cameron Show, 93.3 Real Talk Radio, Warchant TV.
For local news now.
The Leon County Sheriff's Office announced Friday that a student at Fairview Middle School was arrested for possession of a firearm. A 14-year-old male student was arrested and transported to the Leon County Juvenile Assessment Center and was charged with possession of a firearm on campus. A student notified a Leon County Sheriff's Office school resource deputy of an incident involving a student with a gun. After an investigation, the student was identified and admitted to having the loaded gun in his book bag. He said he took the gun from a family member's home. No further weapons or threats were found during the search, and no students were injured. Talcoin says elevated levels of iron and manganese are being detected in one of their major well sites. This is due to their water filtration system not filtering properly over this past month, causing the discoloration. Talcoin has adjusted the filter in the water. The well site is running clear again, though it may take a few days for the water to run clear in people's homes. This is Rachel Lene with your Real Talk 93.3 local update, brought to you by Macklemore Systems, Tallahassee's go-to Mac store. Check them out online at MacklemoreSystems.com.
This is meteorologist Paul Trombley with your Real Talk 93.3 weather update. Sunny skies and calm this afternoon with daytime highs approaching 68. Westerly winds 8 to 15 miles per hour. Clear skies again tonight. Lows dip down to about 41. Daytime highs approaching 71 tomorrow. Partly cloudy skies. Dry with temps above average Wednesday and Thursday and highs in the mid-70s. This report is brought to you by The Lawn Johns. For all your landscaping and lawn care needs, visit thelawnjohns.com. Right now, 68.
Nothing says Valentine's Day like flowers and chocolates, but I'm not talking about red roses and heart-shaped boxes. Tallulah CBD has a different kind of flowers and chocolate for your loved one this year. Shop for the newest Delta 8 vape and flower products, plus Delta 8 chocolates for just $3.99. CBD massage oils, CBD bath bombs, a selection of enhancing products to really feel the love this Valentine's Day. Come see the ladies at Tallulah for everything you need to love your Valentine.
My man, Eddie.
Jeff, what's happening, dude?
Bears eating people all over the place. I read another article today. It's the third one in the last month of somebody getting mauled to death by a bear.
Man, bears have their own space. You got to let them have that.
You do. You got to stay clear of bears, is what you're saying?
Yes.
I got a question for you. Here you go. If you had to be mauled to death, eaten alive by any animal in the world, which would you choose to eat you alive?
Ooh, I think maybe I'd want, longevity time, a mouse.
Just slow burn.
Slow burn.
This thing just finished the pinky. It's been a month.
I could go to work. I could still do my thing. I could probably live 30 years.
I thought you were going to say great white because it'd be quick, or a grizzly. We went with mouse.
Yeah, mouse.
Okay. Mouse it is.
Gordo's, bringing the flavor and flair of Cuban food to Tallahassee since 1996.
Hey, Greg Tish here along with
Matty Rowe.
And you can listen to us Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on Real Talk 93.3. Matt, we give away a couple things each week.
Just a few.
We got the Florida Farm Bureau Insurance Wheel of Food. We have Give Me a Second, where we play a second of a song and you guess that song. And we also play FLA or Nay. We have a lot of fun Monday through Friday, 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. on
The Greg Tish Show.
Think that's enough?
We can talk about our feelings.
There's a lot.
The Greg Tish Show, Monday through Friday, 6 to 9 a.m. only on Real Talk 93.3.
Welcome back to the Jeff Cameron Show, sponsored by Legendary Home Loans, a mortgage experience designed around speed, simplicity, and customer service. Before you buy your next home, contact our friend Shannon Young with Legendary Home Loans. Visit FSUHomeLoans.com. FSUHomeLoans.com.
Fourth, this is where baseball is headed. They already did one thing and made it permanent, which is the designated runner to start extra innings. It's permanent now. I don't love it, but I get why they did it. You got to cater to the kids, and the kids can't watch anything for more than a couple hours without being bored. So,
it feels like it's a lot less necessary now, though, because of the other changes they're implementing,
which is going to be the pitch clock and the shifts, the banning of the shifts. So, implementing on-field rule changes designated to make baseball more entertaining and played at a higher rate of speed. I get why they're doing that. I don't love all of it, but a pitch clock and rules clamping down on the infield shift are all part of the headlines that are the changes that are going to debut starting February 24th. Those changes, part of the long-term vision for Major League Baseball for, again, a faster-paced, action-packed future of the sport. And new rules have been, criticized by a lot of people, players who also don't like how quickly they're going about this, but clearly their studies have shown them that they need to get this instituted sooner rather than later. You'll be very happy about the pitch clock, so will I. I believe that's good.
Yeah, also get in the box with 8 seconds to go on the clock.
Tell hitters to stop stepping out of the box. That was a big one for a long time. Used to frustrate me to no end. You don't need to adjust your gloves after a ball 4 inches off the plate that you took. Just stay in the box here. Let's go.
There was one guy quoted in the ESPN article who says, I want to bat on my own time, not the commissioner's time. Well, tough, dude. No. Get in the box. How about that?
When the bases are empty, pitchers will now have 15 seconds to begin their motion once the catcher returns the ball to them. So if nobody's on base, which would distract you, obviously, if nobody's on base, when the catcher gets the ball back to you, you've got to be in your motion towards the plate 15 seconds after you caught it. All right, seems reasonable enough. With runners on, 20 seconds. So you get an extra 5. All right. Pickoff attempts are also limited. Pitchers are only allowed 2 disengagements from the rubber. That's the number of times you can step off to throw to a base or to get a new sign. So just the stepping off, which is used as a way to slow the running game, you can only do that twice now. I'm okay with that too. There should be a repercussion for walking or giving up a hit to a guy like Ricky Henderson.
Yeah.
And that is, you're probably screwed. That walk is a double. That walk is maybe going to turn into a triple. Let's try not to walk him. You're not going to stand there and throw to first 7 times in a row in order to try to slow that down. That's the consequence for having done so.
The other thing is with the signaling, too. You have to be on the same page because you don't want to lose one of those disengagements. That's now critical. So what some are speculating is that there'll be signals made before the pitcher gets on the hill with the catcher. Like it's going to look very different.
Because but we're elevating the level of, I like that.
Yeah.
Teams are no longer allowed to shift their infielders. The defense must position 2 infielders on each side of second base, and all 4 infielders have to be on the infield dirt or infield grass. You can move in towards even shorter, towards the plate, as the ball is pitched. Okay. Now, that will be I will see that, for example, when I go to the spring training games that I'm attending coming up next month.
Be on your toes. There'll be a lot of balls and strikes assessed as these guys make mistakes.
It's going to be interesting. Also, by the way, I don't know how many people know this. There are going to be larger bases.
Yep.
The size of each base will be increased to 18-inch squares instead of 15-inch squares. Okay. I don't know what's the deal with that.
Well, between that, it's for safety.
I was about to say the runner.
Yeah, the safety of the runner. And if it's not a pickoff play, but a stolen base attempt at second, that also protects the infielder a little bit more as well. I think what's going to happen here, and this is just a theory because it's down to such a science at the major league level, is that your elite base stealers are about to steal a lot more bases. But then maybe some of these guys that were pretty good base stealers are now going to be given green lights. I think it might get stupid the other way to where there's a little bit too much in the stolen base category and there might be a little back and forth because the pressure on the disengagement count plus the size of the bags, I mean, that's worth maybe a tenth or two of a second, which is all you need.
Hey, man, I want guys in motion.
I do too. I just hope it doesn't get crazy.
Yeah. No, right. You don't want it to be a merry-go-round here where everybody's just getting on base and it's automatic steal a second. It is fascinating. By the way, Matthew writes, every ballpark should just have a voice recording of me yelling, "Get in the box!" And that's your warning. You hit it one time. Other aspects of the change, and I mentioned this before, but this will help clarify it for you. To find out if fans were in favor of the changes playing out in the lower level ballparks across the country, Major League Baseball asked 15,000 minor league fans if they supported the use of a pitch clock broken up by how many games they attended with it in use. Okay. So the initial response to the idea was very positive. Major League Baseball found that more games than fans experienced with it in place were more enjoyable. So here's how it looked. Quote, do you support the use of the pitch timer? Survey of the 15,000 fans that they spoke to that had attended minor league games both with it and without it. It was 68% of the attendees said yes. And next survey they did, which was a year later when they exercised this, it was up to 74%.
Yeah.
Seems to be continuing to climb. It does make sense that you would. I will say this, minor league games with the pitch clock in place last year were shorter by 25 to 28 minutes per game.
We'll take it. Nobody likes the human rain delay pitcher. Nobody likes that guy. Steve Traxel, Chris Bassett. Those are two Mets that I've watched in the last 20 years that are human rain delays. Nobody likes that guy. Not even your own fan base. Like, oh my God. You get tickets. Oh, you want to go to the game tonight? Yeah, that's great. Who's pitching? Bassett. Oh, okay. Watch him stand.
My favorite aspect of why the players have pushed back on this, which we all know they want to use as negotiating powers. ESPN spoke to 18 players about the upcoming rule changes, and a theme emerged. They were amenable to all of the changes, in theory, but irked that Major League Baseball's implementation of those rules were taking place too quickly, and they felt that easing in some of the new rules would have been a better path to take. Many said they would have preferred to start with a longer pitch clock, and some wanted an adjustment to shift the rules instead of a full mandate deciding where players can and cannot stand on the diamond. I don't care. I know that's not how it works. They want to negotiate it, but yeah, I don't care.
No, but if you look at the panel, because there's now a competition committee or whatever it is, I believe the players have 4 votes out of 12, I think it is. So if Major League Baseball wants to do something, they can do it. Plain and simple. And look, Manfred might get this right. This might be the first thing a year from now where we say, way to go, Manfred. Now give me robot umpires, and you actually might change your legacy as commissioner.
Well, he got the sticky stuff right.
Yeah, he did. He
got that right. And by the way, players adjusted to that. If you remember in the beginning, a few of the elite pitchers really struggled with their command, and it led to more walks and imminently more hittable fastballs and all that other stuff. But those guys figured it out and were once again, Garrett Cole started striking people out once again at an alarming rate.
Yeah.
And in the first 2 starts after the sticky stuff rule was in place, he got tattooed. And we were like, well, no, he said, no, I'm still dominant. And he was. Over his last 5 starts, you couldn't hit him. So I have a feeling either you have it or you don't. You could, like, you know what I mean? Also, MLB did find that basically, look, the sooner you apply these rules, the sooner everyone adjusts and the sooner we can get on with the getting.
Look, and it's very simple for a consumer who is going to be at Corner Pocket Bar and Grill or watching on MLB TV at home. If you could get a half an hour back of your night, who's going to say no to that?
One of the reasons everybody loves the softball.
Yes.
Is
correct.
The game got a lot better. I'm talking about women's softball. The sport got a lot better. It was no longer a bunch of running bunts out of the box. People swing
power pitching, power hitting,
away, real hits, real great defense. People making diving catches. The athleticism was on display of these ladies. It became a eminently more watchable product, but also because you could watch the damn game, and it is very different than baseball. But you could watch the game, and you could also go on about your life a couple hours later.
Yeah,
I don't mind 3.5 hours in a baseball stadium. Does not bother me. I'm okay with sitting still
for the right
watch.
reasons.
For the right reasons,
Yeah,
right? For the wrong reasons, it annoys me to no end.
2-1 games going 3 hours 15 minutes. What are we doing?
Yeah,
here?
you're right. So I'm fine with, for the right reasons, we're able to watch a great, engaging game. I hope it never ends. I hope it goes 17 innings. I'm fine with that. Again, for the right reasons. I go into a ballpark happy that there are no time limits and things that I have to adhere to. I could be here till midnight. Who knows? I'm fine with that. I know others don't necessarily feel that way, but that is it. Softball really did well with the pace of the game. By the way, did you go to this weekend?
I did not. No, because
Saturday was freezing cold and rainy, and everything else happened.
Yeah, the rain delays went too late on Saturday. My plan was to go out there because their games were scheduled for 2 and 4:45, and it was on 6:30, 7 o'clock, and no, man.
If I'm not mistaken, I think the ladies dropped one.
Oh, we did. Mm-hmm.
Get it together.
I know.
I'm kidding. Well, I mean, at this point, should I keep going? We've got 3 minutes left in the hour. Might as well at this point. No, I will ask you this. Ranking of the ladies?
They were top 5 before the season started. This weekend, they're going to go play in Clearwater, that elite tournament. You can go see them if you want to.
I could. I'm going to be down in the area. I will be in Clearwater.
Yeah.
What? Oh, that's that tournament from a year ago.
Yeah. It's just off of 590 out that way.
Yeah.
It's a bike ride. It's the Coachman area. So between Clearwater, Sunset Point Road, and Safety Harbor, it's that little complex there. Could have ridden my bike from Sunset Point 19 to the complex when I was a kid.
Been a minute since I've been down to Clearwater. It will also be a brief minute that I'm in Clearwater. The rest of my time will either be in St. Peter, Bradenton.
Okay.
I will be, but I will be in Clearwater on Friday. Come out and see me, everybody. I'm kidding. Nice dinner. Maybe I'll say hello to the lunatics. I can maybe not get kidnapped if I bring up Scientology in the right place.
Oh, I was like, what lunatics? What are you speaking of? Yeah, man, the flag buses. Be careful of those buses.
I do know that I do know that anytime I can start to make my way to the areas that have the minor league ballparks, that fever hits you yet again, and you love it, and you just want to be outside, and we're about to be at the best time of year in the state of Florida.
And you've got the World Baseball Classic around the corner, so that's good for you. The hard part
I don't
is
know when you're going to jump on board with this thing.
I'm often asked when people are going down to Clearwater or the St. Pete area, Clearwater Beach, what's a good place to eat? I don't know anymore. Things change too fast. You can never go home.
Not on the beach. Don't go there. You'll be stuck in that roundabout forever and a day.
You go to Sand Key if you're going to go anywhere down that way. But, I mean, in terms of restaurants, I'm sure you've got a place or two that you like. The Treasure Island place that you go to for brunch is outstanding.
That's my fun little sidebar there. That's a cool little place. That's not necessarily a place everybody wants to go to. Let's not tell anybody about that place. But that's a wondrous place.
It's like Los Tacos.
Yeah. Let's not tell everybody about these places, Tom. These are wonderful places. But no, most of the places in St. Pete these days are all downtown, which they've redone. I mean, there are a million places to eat down there. There's a lot of music, a lot of art, a lot of great food. That whole area has done a really good job. And now the Rays, while we're on the subject of baseball, looking like that whole stadium thing's going to go through. And
is it finally?
I mean,
we've been arguing since I was in high school about this.
Oh my God. Yeah. They've been arguing since I was in high school about this. So this is a long time ago about where to put it. And I mean, it is weird to me that Major League Baseball struggles to make it in the state of Florida, given the demographics of the state of Florida. Old people love baseball. There's a lot of them here. Generally speaking, Hispanic populations enjoy baseball and are really good at it.
It's one of the biggest demos of Mets fans.
Yeah, I don't understand how it is. I don't understand how it is the state struggles in both regards, down in Miami and in St. Pete.
Well, because one of the stadiums is a garage and the other market has been so crooked for so long.
Well,
I'm talking about the ownership groups for the Marlins that they're like, you know what? Screw you.
The garage, I would have argued, is right. It is, but man, you can't exactly have an open air stadium in St. Pete.
No, but you got to do better than, what looks like a convention center, just a supersized convention center.
Nah, it's sterile like a hospital. It's tough. You go in there, like, okay.
With hockey, it was cool.
Yeah.
It just depends on the sport. Because they had a midway where you could just play games.
Just play games, and over and over and over again. Yeah, it was good stuff. Good work on the run there, Director Matthew, as our technological difficulties made it not a lot of fun.
Distracted him from yesterday.
Yeah, it's a toughie. Good work out of you, Tom. Good work out of all of you guys. We'll talk tomorrow. Be well, everybody. Have a great evening. Peace.